Alright guys, so this video is brought to you by Fame Soda from Canada. Kosher. This one is real orange and real hibiscus and cane sugar. This one is lemon mint, real lemon, real mint, cane sugar. We have one that's blueberry vanilla, which is not here. And we have the sugar-free versions, which I believe are sucralose, which is Splenda. Folks, if you want to order, be in touch with me. We deliver or ship. Pre-tariff, Canadian, Jewish guy in Ottawa, Canada. CUR Heckscher, the biggest Heckscher in Canada. Okay, folks, now we have confirmation. We have confirmation that this is not just about Israel or the Zionist entity or Zionism or being an anti-Zionist. This is about Jews, my friends. How do we know that? How do we know that? Well, we have seen these orcs, these pro-Hamas orcs, be they actual Arabs or white people with no brain, and I say this as a white person. Yes, there are white people with no brain. There are white people with a brain and white people with no brain. There's every race. In every race you have people with a brain and without a brain. Just the way it is. And they came to the neighborhoods of Crown Heights and of Flatbush. At least as far as I know. Maybe more. I think also they were, a few months ago, they were in Los Angeles. Neighborhoods in Los Angeles, neighborhoods in Canada. Coming directly at Jews. Orthodox Jews. My friends, I'm going to tell everybody a little secret, which is a topic of much kind of discussion in the Orthodox Jewish world. Not every single Orthodox person on God's green earth, Orthodox Jewish person, supports the government of Israel. Not every single Orthodox Jewish person calls themselves politically Zionist, right? On top of that, guys, every single Orthodox Jew has a different understanding, actually, or a different definition of what Zionism is. For example, I define it as just, the understanding that there's a homeland to the Jewish people, a land, right? And also, I connect it to something that we say in our prayer books, Hamazir Shechinato L'Tzion, right? Shechinato L'Tzion, like the return of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, to Zion. In that sense, I am a Zionist. Because Zion just means Jerusalem, right? When certain people in the Orthodox community, even non-Hasidic people, think of Zionism, they think of secular Zionists, socialists, and anti-religious founders of the State of Israel. That is not what I think of, right? That's why in Israel, you have this phenomenon called the religious Zionists, right? The people who are religious, who keep Shabbat and all the rest of it, some of them are Haredi, straight up like Hasidic, but they believe that the existence of the State of Israel is the I guess, a part of the Geula, a part of the redemption, and maybe even a necessary step in the redemption. It's like a birth pang, right? Very painful one, but it is one nonetheless, right? So there's different understandings, right? But one thing everybody can agree on in the Orthodox world, guys, is just because you're not necessarily for or so gung-ho, let's say. I don't know, honestly, there's very few people who are like Dafka, anti the state. There's like a couple of groups, namely Satmar and the old Neturei Karta, not the ones, the Meshagoyim that you see today at protests. The old Neturei Karta, the guys who actually live in Jerusalem, the people we call Yerushalmi, who are against the state. How are they against the state? Because they don't even they don't even have Israeli citizenship. They live in Israel, and then they, every so often they leave Israel, they come back into Israel. They physically live in Israel, right? They spend money in Israel, all that stuff. Their kids live in Israel. They've been doing this for like generations, right? So they live in the land, but they're not Zionist in the sense that they don't want to be under the auspices of a government. Does it mean that they're against Jews being in the land? No, not necessarily, right? Just like Satmar, right? They're constantly flying to Israel. They have relatives who live in Israel. Some of them live in Williamsburg, Borough Park. So my friends, that's their understanding of what Zionism is. A government, right? A government, a secular government. My understanding of Zionism is something that we pray for and define as a homeland for the Jewish people. Something we pray for in the prayer book. Just to return the divine presence to Zion. So my friends, be that as it may, the orcs have gone directly to the neighborhoods of the Orthodox Jews, many of whom are not what's called political Zionists, those Orthodox Jews, but who are pro-Israel, pro-Jewish and pro there being Jews in the land of Israel. They are pro, Jews settling Judea and Samaria. They're pro-Jews, they're Jews living in the land. They're even pro, some of them even have children and relatives and cousins and nephews and nieces who are in the IDF, right? But they're not like gung-ho, for the government. They're not. That's what they mean when they say Zionist. My friends, our enemies think that any person who has ever stepped foot in the land of Israel, any Jew, is a Zionist. They think that Satmar is our Zionist. They think that Neturei Karta are Zionist. And pretty much any Jew on earth could be a Zionist. Because again, my friends, our enemies are very simple people with regards to this. They know inside their heart of hearts that all Zionism is, or all the word Zion is just Jerusalem. So they know that every Jewish neshama intrinsically, whether it knows it or not, subconsciously, believes in Jerusalem. Believes that the Shekhinah should come back to Jerusalem. Our enemies know that that's what we believe, whether we're conscious of it or not. And so they gather and they come to Flatbush and to Crown Heights and to other places, right, where you might see an Israeli flag outside. You will. Even though some of the people who live in those neighborhoods are not necessarily gung-ho about the government of Israel, or that there being a government in Israel. They're not. Right? But guys, today, I'm going to Crown Heights today for Shabbat. I will see Israeli flags there. There's a lot of Israeli Chabad people. My friends, they came to these neighborhoods, these orcs. They were met with thunder. They didn't realize that there would be Israeli kids in front of 770 whose parents lived in Arab countries, okay? Morocco, Iraq, Tunisia, places like that, Algeria, some even in Egypt, Lebanon, Syria. They didn't realize it would be met with these kind of kids. They were shocked to see a video of those kids screaming, Shmeth to you-know-who. I'm not going to say it here, okay? I don't want to get my channel banned. They were shocked to hear it. A lot of people were shocked to hear it. My friends, just understand that the parents of these kids, of these Sephardic Chabad kids from Israel, voted for you-know-who. Most of them would vote for you-know-who back in the 80s. I don't have to tell you who. I'm not talking about the Rebbe. The Rebbe never ran for Knesset. You know who I'm talking about, okay? So, again, lest I lose my channel. So my friends, these orcs didn't know what was coming to them. Same thing with Flatbush, right? You saw the videos. Yeah, they came and they harassed Jews, but Jews, fought back. Jews were not running away. Jews are fighting back. My friends, but here's the thing. In the end, this whole thing proves to us that it's about the Jews, and it proves to us that all Zionism is, or should be defined as, is Jerusalemism. We are done with the definition of political, secular, socialist, blah, 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 what I call Weitzman Zionism. Weitzman / Ben Gurionist, / even Jabotinsky, maybe. We're done with that, my friends. Somebody said it in the comment section, a friend of mine, like the Ariana Grande song, "Thank You Next." Yes, thank you next. My friends, it's just Jerusalemism now, and our enemies know it. Our enemies know that any person, any religious Jew, subscribes to that. Any religious Jew believes that Jerusalem belongs to the Jews, that Israel belongs to the Jews. And so, they're going to come and they're going to attack us. If you come and ask them, how do you think you're going to achieve, quote unquote, freeing Palestine? You think you're going to attack us, and then you think we're going to go to the Israeli government, who we have no contact with, and tell them, please, give them back Palestine so they can stop attacking us? My friends, as you know from history, even before the Jewish people came back to Israel en masse, they were still attacking us in the diaspora for being Jewish, right? Back when it was popular to hate Jews openly, right? Now it's not so popular. Now you have to give it a different moniker. Zionists, occupiers, aggressors, whatever, imperialists. There's other words, my friends. It's other words. It's all from what's called the Nachash. I'm going to leave you with this, guys. I don't know if I heard this somewhere, but this is just my own thing. I believe it as well. The gematria of Nachash, of snake, is the same gematria as Mashiach. I forget the number, the amount, but I know for certain that it's the same gematria. So what does that mean, guys? That means that before Mashiach, guys, we're going to be living in a world with a lot of sheker, a lot of lies, a lot of deception. And here we are. We're living in that world. I mean, we see it, but just the fact that our enemies are coming at us and they're using different wording to signify the same thing. Not only that, they're coming at us, in places outside of Israel, outside the place that they're referring to, right? And they're coming directly at the heart of it's not really the heart of the beast, but it's the heart of our community, the people who unequivocally believe that the Jews should be in Israel. Folks, if you came to a Jew on the street, ask most secular Jews, do you believe the Jews should be in Israel? You're going to get all kinds of answers, right? If you ask Orthodox Jews the same question, 99% you'll get unequivocally, like without even blinking, you'll get a yes, right? And then they'll start telling you stories about their relatives who live in Israel and who lived in Israel and all the rest of it. So, my friends, we understand that we're living in a world where everything is manipulated and people are using, veiled language, but at the same time, we can see what they mean. They're showing to us what they mean with their actions, not with their words. And so this is why I think that we are witnessing the times right before Mashiach. We're living in the times right before Mashiach, and what we're witnessing are signposts, simanim, signs, that we're very, very close. And B'ezrat Hashem, we should defeat all of these people, all of these orcs. They should get what's coming to them. If they complain, if they show videos of how we're so violent, and halavai, we should be like that, okay? Because as I said in another video, it's enough, okay? We're not like that enough, my friends. We're not going to go gently into the night. We're not going to go stand there as we watch our brethren being, get their what's beaten on the streets of Brooklyn and Los Angeles and Miami and Chicago. We're not going to, and Paris and London. We're not going to do that. And B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to see Mashiach very soon. Alright, guys. Shabbat Shalom. Talk to you soon.